So in the final analysis, the Jews even discovered America. No, but you see, I was amazed to learn that we Jews, we have a very, very long and extensive history in this country, dating all the way back to 1654, when a group of 23 Sephardic Jews got on a ship in Brazil, and they sailed through Jamaica and Cuba, and they finally ended up in Manhattan Island, in what was then New Amsterdam. In 1790, the leaders of the Jewish community wrote letters to George Washington, congratulating him on being elected president. This was George Washington's reply. Dear gentlemen, may the same wonder-working deity who long since delivered the ancient Hebrews from their Egyptian oppressors continue to water them with the dews of heaven. It is now no more that toleration is spoken of as if it were the indulgence of one class of people. No. The government of the United States gives to bigotry no sanction, and to persecution no assistance. May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of all the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. George Washington. Sure, why not? Sure. And after George Washington dictated that letter, he told his slaves to bring everybody some lemonade. See, but I was born in the Bronx. Yeah. And I grew up on Jewish rock and roll. Säge, 2er Säge, 3er Säge, 4. 5er Säge, 6er Säge, 7er Säge, Schmier. 9er Säge, 10er Säge, 11er Säge, Zeit, we're gonna rock around the clock. The night came, dieser Hund, join me, hon. We'll function and when the clock strikes 1, we're gonna rock around the clock, die Nacht. Rockin' and backen, nicht du gedacht. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Now when the clock hackt 2 und 3 und 4, the music brennt euer Klug zu mir. We're gonna rock around the clock die Nacht, rockin' and backen until we plot. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Segel geht der Hack auf 12, put me back dorten on the shelf. My kishkis quenched, my aching head, ois geracket, I'm almost dead from rockin' and backin' around the clock tonight. Yeah! Thank you. You see, now, when I was growing up in the Bronx, I was under the mistaken impression that all the Jews in America lived in the Bronx. I mean, there were a few in Brooklyn, a couple in Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, maybe a few in New Jersey. But basically, all the Jews in America lived in New York. Boy, was I amazed to learn when I got older that not all the Jews in America lived in New York. Some of the Jews who immigrated to this country actually went south to Georgia, Louisiana, to the Carolinas. They went out west to Texas, Arizona, out to California, where we were so instrumental in creating the movie industry. We were peddlers, we were traders, we were entrepreneurial spirits, and we ended up as far north as Alaska. Now, several years ago, I took my family on a cruise to Alaska. And it's beautiful, just magnificently beautiful, and probably one of the last places in the world that I expected to find my people. And we ended up in this very quaint little village called Ketchikan. It used to be called Chapachainik. But they thought the name sounded too Jewish, so they changed it. Anyway, there we are in Ketchikan. We're acting like tourists, walking around the street, shopping for trinkets. And all of a sudden, I see this enormous storefront. And in the window, I see dancing Hasidim. You know what Hasidim are, right? That's the Jewish Amish. No, I was walking with a non-Jewish friend. We're walking down the street. We saw a group of Hasidim walking by. My friend says, "Who are those people?" I said, "Hasidim." He says, "Yeah, I see them too, but who are they?" Anyway, back in Alaska. So here's this storefront filled with dancing Hasidim, not real Hasidim. It was a sculpture, a beautiful sculpture. And we went into the store. The place was filled with magnificent Jewish artwork, sculptures, paintings, jewelry, and very expensive, may I add. So I went to the salesman. I said, "Excuse me, could you please explain this to me? What in the world is this beautiful Judaica store doing in the middle of Ketchikan?" He says, "What do you mean?" "I am an Alaskan Jew. My name is Yaakov." And he goes on to tell me that there are actually thousands of Jews who live in Alaska. Many of their ancestors went up there during the gold rush. And he tells me that they are a very, very tight-knit community. And they like to refer to themselves as the frozen chosen. True story, absolutely true. I was also very amazed to learn that there were a lot of Jewish cowboys, cowboychiks. It's true. Did you know that Wyatt Earp's wife was Jewish? Sureyente Earp. But Wyatt Earp is actually buried in a Jewish cemetery. Barry Goldwater's great-grandfather went out west in the 1860s. Blue jeans. What could be more American in the entire world? An American icon. Blue jeans. Synonymous with the name Levi Strauss. Yes. Not too long ago, I had a performance in Fort Worth, Texas, of all places. And after my show, this big, humongous man comes up to me. He says, "Avi, I want to talk to you. There's something I don't understand about this Jewish thing. Now, Mom is spooky." Family, for those of you who don't understand. Mom is spooky. Has been here in Texas now for 6 generations. But there's one Jewish tradition I just don't understand. The tradition of kissing toes. I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, "I'm sorry, you mean kissing the Torah?" He said, No, Avi, I know all about that kissing the Torah. And I know all about kissing that mezuzah. I am talking about kissing toes. I said, "I'm really sorry, but I've never heard of that particular Jewish tradition." He says, "Oh, yeah, kissing toes." He says, "My grand Zesty always used to say to us, Kishmir and toe kiss." Now, for those of you out there that didn't understand that, call your Jewish friends. They'll explain it to you. What an amazing adventure it must have been for those first Jews who left behind the familiar and comfortable surroundings of the Lower East Side for that rough and rugged terrain of the Wild West. I'm an old cowhand from Orchard and Grand. I can milk a cow. I'll show you how. To milk a cow, you must be in the mood, for what comes out is not kosher food. The milk is dairy, the cow is meat. How that could be kosher is quite a feat. Yippee-oh-ho-hoo-ha, yippee-oh-ho-hoo-ha. So, it started to make me wonder, Who was the first Jew to go out west? Who was that bold and daring individual who put down his Bible and picked up a 6-shooter? Who took off his yarmulke and put on a 10-gallon hat? Who had the guts to get on a horse, put his tokis in the saddle, and shout out, "Hi ho, Schmendrick!" And old Cowpunch went out to lunch beyond the pearly gates. He walked into a vegetarian restaurant called Nate's, tiled an ice skip bucket from flying with his horse. Finally he yelled out, "Give me a plate of borscht." Yippee-oh, yippee-yi-yi, the borscht riders in the sky. Now listen, the borscht was hot, a fire burning from his ears came steam. The cowboy said, "Give me a break, I want some sour cream." The cowboy grabbed his pistol and he turned around real hard. He walked up to the counter and he paid with MasterCard. Yippee-oh, yippee-oh-yippee, the borscht riders in the sky. Hey! Hey! What a band! Woo! Now, needless to say, we Jews, in spite of what a lot of people think, we've never really had it easy. No matter where we've gone, no matter how assimilated we think we've become, there's always someone that doesn't like us. Someone with a passion to make trouble for us. Somebody that wants to give us a little kvetch. In 1864, Ulysses S. Grant made the following declaration. He said, "The Jews as a class, having violated every regulation of trade established by the Treasury Department, are hereby expelled within 24 hours from the great state of Tennessee." Big deal. Tennessee. No, but luckily President Lincoln canceled the order immediately. Trouble, always getting into trouble, being in trouble. Something around the Jews is always troublesome. You know, a man was standing in a cemetery. He's banging on the gravesite. "Why did you die? Why did you die?" Another man comes in, he says, "I'm so sorry. It must have been a close relative." He says, "No. Why did you die? Why did you?" The man says, "A good friend." He says, "No. Why did you die? Why?" The man says, "Who was it then?" He says, "My wife's first husband." "Why did you die? Why? Always in trouble. Talk about trouble. They found the fossils of a Jewish dinosaur. The Yiddishkayt. For those of you who don't understand that reference, Yiddishkayt is Yiddish for chopped troubles. That's what the literal translation is, chopped troubles. That's what our ancestors used to eat all the time. Chopped troubles. My grandfather was in a slave labor camp in Siberia. And towards the end of the war, World War II, he was able to escape from the camp. He took my grandmother, my mother, she was just a little girl, and they walked. They had to walk halfway across Europe And they ended up towards the end of the war in the DP camps, the displaced persons camps in Germany, in Ulm. And eventually they came to America. And you'd think that my grandfather would be so happy in this country. No more persecution, no more anti-Semitism, freedom! But somehow that's not how I remember my grandfather. My grandfather, from my memory, used to sit in a chair for hours at a time, and he would give out these big sighs, these big krechts. Oi! Oi! And then he would call me over, he'd say, Avremalik, komm her. Me ken leben, no me lost nicht. Which, for those of you who are Yiddish impaired, that means you could live, but they don't let you. And when I was growing up, I always wanted to know, who were they? In New York, in the Bronx? Who were they? They, of course, were the omnipresent anti-Semites. Now, I've been very lucky in my life. I've only experienced true anti-Semitism, dangerous anti-Semitism, a couple of times in my life. But I've read recently that there are over 500 different anti-Semitic hate groups in the United States of America today. Over 500 individual and separate anti-Semitic hate groups in the United States of America today. Anti-Semitism in Europe is on the rise, and I'm sure there's some very passionate celebrity out there who's getting ready to film a version of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, the biggest anti-Semitic hoax in the world. It's amazing. So much anti-Semitism, even after everything. And all of these anti-Semites, they have nothing nice to say about the Jews. I mean, we've been cursed in every generation. Only nowadays, the curses are so unimaginative. It's all the same. You always hear the same libels, the same slander. But it seems to me that if you really want to curse at somebody, whether you're Jewish or whether you're not Jewish, it doesn't really matter. If you really have to curse at someone, I think you should curse at them in Yiddish. See, because cursing in Yiddish, this is a sophisticated art form. It's an exercise in Talmudic reasoning. Leo Rostin, in the book The Joys of Yiddish, which I highly recommend, he says the Yiddish tongue is a tongue that never takes its tongue out of its cheek. And there's nothing more tongue-in-cheek than Yiddish curses, and I'd like to share a few with you, if you don't mind. You never know when you're going to meet an anti-Semite. You might need a nice, juicy Yiddish curse. One of the most famous Yiddish curses in the world is this one. Du sollst wachsen wie a Zibale, mit dem Kopf in Dreher. And if you say it with a smile, they don't even know you're cursing at them. And that means you should grow strong and healthy like an onion with your head in the ground. Now here are a few less familiar Yiddish curses, but they're delicious nevertheless. Soll verlieren alle 10, nur einer. Und dort soll oben a Zunweite. Which means, may he lose all of his teeth except one. And in that one tooth, he should have the world's worst toothache. See, that's a curse. Soll oben 100 Häuser, und in jeder Haus 100 Zimmer, und in jeder Zimmer 20 Betten. Und soll nicht können schlafen. Und soll sich walgern eine ganze Nacht in alle Betten. Which means he should be so wealthy that he owns 100 mansions. And in every mansion there should be 100 rooms. And in each room there should be 20 beds. And he should suffer from insomnia and toss and turn all night long in every single one of those beds. That, my friends, that's a curse. Here are a few more without the Yiddish. May he make millions and spend it all on doctors. And last but not least, this is my personal favorite. May he die and be reincarnated as a magnificent chandelier. He should hang all day and burn all night. Yiddish curses, use them. Teach them to your children. You know, there's an old Bulgarian proverb. When you baptize a Jew, you should hold him underwater for at least 5 minutes. Are there any Southern Baptists in the house today? No, it's amazing. You know, there are some Southern Baptists who still feel that they want to convert all the Jews. Their mission in life is to convert all the Jews. And the greatest irony, of course, is that Jesus was basically a nice Jewish boy. Yeah, how do we know Jesus was Jewish? He lived at home till he was 30. His mother thought he was God, and he thought she was a virgin. You know, there was an old Jewish man, he suffered a heart attack, and they took him to the nearest hospital, which turned out was a Catholic hospital, where all the nurses were nuns. And the man wakes up from his surgery, a nun comes walking up to him. She says, "How are you feeling, sir?" The man looks around, he sees nuns and crosses everywhere. He says, "All right." And the nun says, "Sir, I know this is probably not a very good time, but I have to ask you, do you belong to an HMO? How do you intend to pay your bill?" The man says, "No, I have no insurance. I can't pay my bill." The nun says, "Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. Perhaps you have some family that could help you." The man says, "You know, I have a sister, but I haven't spoken to her in years. We had a big fight after she converted, and she became a nun, just like you. Now, she's just an old maid." And the nun says, "Sir, obviously, you don't understand. We nuns, we're not old maids. We're all married to Jesus Christ." The man says, "Oh, good, good. In that case, send the bill to my brother-in-law." I love that show. A rabbi is sitting next to a priest on a very long trip. The priest turns to the rabbi and says, "Rabbi, is it true that your people, you're not allowed to eat pork?" The rabbi says, "Of course not. Pork isn't kosher. We're not allowed to eat it." The priest says, "Rabbi, between us, we're both men of the cloth. Have you ever indulged?" And the rabbi says, "You know, as a matter of fact, when I was a young man, before I became a rabbi, I tasted bacon, and I have to admit, it was very good." A few minutes go by. The rabbi turns to the priest. He says, "Father, is it true that you priests, you're not allowed to have relations with a woman?" And the priest says, "Yes, that's true, Rabbi. We've all taken a vow of celibacy." And the rabbi says, "Father, between us, we're both men of the cloth. Have you ever indulged?" And the priest says, "Absolutely not." And the rabbi says, "That's too bad, because it's much better than pork." See, we love to laugh. We love to laugh at ourselves, at everybody else. We even laugh at death. A man is lying on his deathbed. His son is sitting by his side. The man opens his eyes. He looks at his son. He says, "Joey, Joey." Joey says, "Yes, Papa." The man says, "Joey, listen. It won't be long now. I have one last request. Before I go, I would like to taste one last time Mama's delicious apple strudel." Joey says, "Of course, Papa, of course. I'll go right now. I'll go downstairs. I'll bring you a piece, Papa, please. Just hold on, Papa." And Joey runs downstairs. And he comes back 2 minutes later, empty-handed. The man opens his eyes. He looks at his son. He says, "Joey, Joey, where is my apple strudel?" And Joey says, "Papa, I'm so sorry, Papa. Mama says you can't have any. It's for after the funeral." Even at death. Two men are sitting on a park bench. One gives out a big krechts. Oi! Oi! And the other one says, "I thought we agreed not to talk about the kids." So let's talk about Jewish children for a minute, shall we? Oh, no, but you know, there are some people nowadays that would have us believe that Jewish children today don't know anything about their heritage and their culture, their faith, and somehow we Jews are destined to disappear in the next few generations. I disagree. I think young Jewish people today have more opportunities to learn about their Judaism than ever before. I mean, this is America. You can do anything. You can be anything. I am so glad that my children get to grow up in this country, the greatest country in the world. Irving Berlin wrote "God Bless America" in 1917. And ever since then, America has blessed the Jews. Never before in our history have we been so safe from persecution, so accepted at all levels of society. I mean, look, Joe Lieberman ran for the presidency of the United States of America. And if it weren't for a few hanging chads and the Supreme Court, he might have been the vice president of the United States. I mean, that would have been unheard of only a few short years ago. And who knows, now that Guyana had a Jewish woman as president, can America be far behind? Maybe one of your children, one of your grandchildren. I can see it now. The first Jewish woman president-elect, Tiffany Schwartz, standing at the podium, her hand on the Bible, her mother sitting in the front row, surrounded by world leaders. The daughter is taking the oath of office, and the mother turns to the Prime Minister of Israel, sitting right next to her. She says, "You see that girl with her hand on the Bible? Her brother is a doctor." It's true. It could happen. You know, the great genius Albert Einstein said the following words. He said, "The pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, an almost fanatical love of justice, and the desire for personal independence, these are the features of Jewish tradition which make me thank my lucky stars that I belong to it." Albert Einstein was a pretty smart guy. But he forgot to mention a few very, very important things. He forgot to mention our faith, our unabiding faith that everything will be all right in the end. We are the eternal optimists. He forgot to mention our culture, our heritage, the contributions, the great contributions we've made to literature and music and theater, poetry. He forgot to mention our sense of humor. We love to laugh in the face of adversity. We love to laugh more than anything else. Maybe that's another reason we've survived for so many thousands of years. The great Jewish writer Shalom Aleichem said that laughter was the best medicine. And if he was right, then we've been trying to heal the world one joke at a time. So I'd like to end with a tribute to some of the Jewish comedians and a few of the jokes that made them famous. Just take a look how they shuffle along. Freilach and happy, they're singing a song. If they keep shuffling, they'll be here real soon, rambling with the Moskowitz tune. Henny Youngman. I was so ugly when I was born, the doctor slapped my mother. I've been married for 49 years, I'm still in love with the same woman. If my wife ever finds out, she'll kill me. I saw a sign the other day, it said, "Jesus saves." Underneath it, somebody wrote, "Moses invests." Look at them marching, this they can dig. Crazy Shloimim and the music's machine. Everyone here wants to taste just a sample. Swinging with the Moskowitz ramble. Milton Berle. Good evening, ladies and ladies and gentlemen. But why should I call you ladies and gentlemen? You know what you are. I just got into town, I flew in. Boy, are my arms tired. These are the jokes. What is this, an audience? Or an oil painting? Ain't zwei, drei, feel the time is now. Come along and try to dance somehow. Make a circle, cut a carpet. Wow! 5, 6, 7, 8, I just can't wait. Ah, the Moskowitz ramble is cool, that's all. Come on, let's have a matzo ball. Rodney Dangerfield. I don't get no respect. I don't get no respect. My mother never breastfed me. She told me she liked me as a friend. When the kids played hide and seek, they wouldn't even look for me. My psychiatrist told me I was crazy. I said, oh yeah, I'd like a second opinion. He said, okay, you're ugly too! Oh, come on, listen up, man, what a band! Hot like a fire, smoother than sand. Get on the ball, don't be so cold. Swinging with the Moskowitz soul. I pick it up, put it down, let's raise the roof. Before you fly right, boys, slow down, don't go. L'chaim, you all made whoopee, let's drive. Swinging with the Moskowitz jive. Jackie Mason. Am I too Jewish for this crowd? That's all I ever hear, too Jewish, too Jewish. The less anti-Semites in America are the Jews. If a Gentile doesn't like me, they could live without me. But if a Jew doesn't like me, I always hear the same thing, not for me, too Jewish. You know, they don't mind if you sound Jewish, but looking Jewish, that's even worse. Nobody wants to look Jewish. That's why they join Reform temples. They're getting more and more reform all the time in America. I know one temple so reformed, the rabbi is a Gentile. The temples are getting so reformed nowadays, they're closed on the Jewish holidays. That's all I have to say. I don't mean to offend the Reformed Jews. I didn't mean to offend the Hasidim. I didn't mean to offend anybody. But you see, the point is we love to laugh at ourselves, everybody else. I've actually had the honor of meeting Jackie Mason several times in my life. And he never remembers me. And every time I remind him, I say, Jackie, we've met before. I'm the guy who wrote that show called Too Jewish. He says, oh, Too Jewish, Too Jewish. I heard about that show. I heard that was a wonderful show. I also happen to know that you named that show after me. You know, I'm still not exactly sure why I'm too Jewish. But I'd like to think that all of you will agree that this show is too Jewish, too. Ein, zwei, drei, vier, come on then, hey. Swing your part to keep that Jewish pace. Move along, borscht, this must really be the play. 5, 6, 7, 8. Just can't wait. The Moskowitz ramble is cool, that's all. Come on, let's have a matzo ball.